Hi, welcome back to the Battleboards bunker. I'm Richard and just wanted to introduce you to a whole new terrain set that I've been working on for some time now. It's been a bit of an epic build, so I hope you enjoy this movie. Okay, these are the two boards put together. So this is how both of these boards sort of come together. They only go together in one way, so you know, it's like an integrated setup. But I just thought I'd give you a quick view over the boards before I dismantle them, and then show how the boards are actually constructed and put together. This is the second board, so we'll have a look at this and how this is put together. This is the sort of refinery section of the board. So basically the Imperials have left the refinery in sort of a semi-working state, and then the Orks have come along and found it and started to try and get it working. It's not as sort of orkified as the fort, so I've sort of made it so it's got two distinct sort of looks and feels, but the Orks have started adding more Ork parts to sort of orkify it. Okay, so this is what the refinery board looks like in its deconstructed state. So there's a lot less pieces to put this board together. So we have the main sort of main flooring section, which has an interior. We have the sort of chimney section that comes in all in one piece. A small top fan that hides the actual, covers up some of the interior section, but gives you a bit of access in there if you need it. An extra bit of rail that goes in. The stairway, the mine cart, which can obviously be for either board, and a small lamp that fits into the side of the board. So we'll just have a look at that and see how that goes together. In fact, actually, before I do that, I'll probably just show you. It's probably easier just to spin the camera around to show you the interior of the refinery. So there is an interior. It's not an easy accessible when it's all put together, but you can at least take the top off if you wanted to. So we'll just go through that. The front door opens. That's on magnetic catches, so that just catches, and that will allow troops and various vehicles to sort of hide inside, if you like, before coming out. But that's how that works. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is put the main top on. That goes on sort of the main building. It's got hidden magnets in the top, so that snaps on quite cleanly, and there's quite these magnets are quite strong, so do be careful when putting it on. You don't let it sort of drop down too hard. The track goes through the rear of the building, so that's the position that you want to start off with the main sort of eagles facing forward. And that snaps on. Now, because they're on plates, you can sort of shift that around into the right position. So just slide that around, eyeing it up from the front, making sure that it's level at the front, and that the track is sort of ready to go into the back. And once the main floor's in position, you can put the extra small track section in. This slides in through the doors first, and then it has two little sort of clip holes that sort of feed up underneath the clip holes that are already in the other track section, and just gently squeeze those together, and that will sort of hold the track into position. And then the main sort of raised building section, which you can easily gain access to, so you can put miniatures in here and here. That has a little fan roof that sits on top, so that just sits in over the top there. And then that will allow you then to put the main section, or the main sort of chimney section, over the top, and that feeds in with the main platform facing forwards. And then there's a few magnets in there to help it, but that should just lock it into position like so, and that'll hold it. I've left the sort of outer walls of the what would have been the landing pad. I've left them loose, so you can position those in what position you like. You can have them all facing down, or you can have them all facing up. I actually quite like a slightly open. So we'll have a look at the sort of main steps up to the sort of where the sort of landing pad stroke platform is. That's got magnets in the front of it. These have magnets in the sort of stepping position where the steps click onto. Now the steps have been designed to go in two ways, so you can either have them as a straight up set of steps, which obviously overlaps the board onto the next board, but if you didn't want to use the other boards, or you had a setup where you wanted to use this display board, I've included an extra triangle piece that will snap onto the steps, allowing the steps to drop away from the main base at 45 degrees, so you can have the steps onto the same board if you wanted to use it as a display board or something like that, and you didn't want to use it on a bigger layout. And we'll spin the board around to look at the other side, the rear side of this section, which is actually one of my favourite parts of this board. Is this sort of small section at the back, which has a sort of fortified fence with working gate. And we'll have a closer look at that now. That's got a small lamp, sort of imperial lamp, and a small hole, so that just feeds through into that hole. I thought I'd make that separate just for sort of safety reasons for shipping, so that just sticks into there, and that can be, you know, placed in either sort of a position, so that just adds another nice little bit of detail. A bit of a flyby so you can see the detail on this rear end, which I think has come out really nice. I really quite like the way this is going to work. It's got plenty of little sort of detailed areas where miniatures can gain access to to the main platform via steps. There are steps down this side, so they can come up through to there, and then if you follow the steps through, so you can come along this platform, up through those steps, then up through these steps, then up through these steps, and then up through these steps, which will then give you access to the top of the tower, where all the main nasty chimney bits work. So that's quite nice. And then you have the rear where the cart can come through, that can run along the track. So this effectively can go from one board to another, and you know, the Orks are basically transporting the oil from the refinery down to the fort. There's also a nice little ladder system that takes you down to their main mine there. Not as complicated as to put this board together, but just as much fun and very detailed in places. So we have a sort of hidden area where the Orks have started to grow fungus to eat and use for various different means. You have the mine, which isn't lit at the moment. I'll show you how that works. You'll notice there's two other exposed magnets on this end which connect the two together, so we'll get the two put together now so you can see what it's like with the working lights. But overall, really pleased with how this one's come out as well. I particularly like the back end because it's got a completely different feel to the fort, so hope you agree, and hope you like it. Okay, so we're going to push the two boards together now, and you can see here that the actual cave system runs from one board to the other sort of internally, but we're going to push the two boards together as they're sort of, that was how they were made, obviously, to go together. They've only been made to go together in one way. Often I make projects so you can spin the boards around, but these boards have been made for this setup only. So once the two boards are together, you can drop in the little the railway track. That just locates into the two little holes on either side of the rails. That just finishes off the track so that the cart can run between the two boards. And then also you have electrics. You have the mine lights that are powered from one board that go to the other board. So to get the power from one section, one board to the other, I've used these little small metal plates which go across the exposed magnets, and then once they've been connected, then they'll transfer the power from one to the other, and then the ladder can just sort of go in and hide or help cover those plates up. So that's pretty much it, how the boards are now connected together. So I'd give you a quick sort of flyover so you can see how they sort of combine. We'll have a quick look through the gate, and then you'll be able to see that the mine lights are there in the distance. I'll just try and zoom in on those a bit. So you can see the mine lights are on that side of the board. And then when we take another look at the other side, you can probably just see in there the actual lights are on in the mine there. I'll switch the lights, the overhead lights, off in a minute so you can see if we can see those lit up a bit in a bit more detail. So that's basically it. That's the sort of oil, the natural oil that they'd pump up through the refinery and then use the truck to transport the barrels across to the other board. So I hope you agree. You can see that it's taken many weeks, months to complete. It's incredibly detailed throughout, loads of hidden details, places for the orcs to climb up and hide and sort of climb all over it. Also, as you saw when I was constructing it, you can take the construction away and then just have it in its raw state, or even build the fort throughout the game. So, you know, sort of agreeing how long each piece would take to construct, and then slowly the board can take shape, which is really good. And then with the added customizability of the, you know, removing the guns and the weapons and having them so they're in different positions, different locations, will also help with that overall sort of customization bit. So that's the overall board. Hope you enjoyed the movie. Again, it was an extreme amount of work to get it completed, but I'm really pleased with the results, and hope you like this sort of insight into it. I'll just switch off the lights so we can have a look at it, see if we can get the mine lights to show up a bit more. Hi, thanks very much for watching. It was a bit of an epic board construction, as you can see from the movie, so I hope you enjoyed seeing how it all came together, and thank you very much for your comments, which are always welcome, and I'm trying to reply to all of them, and for subscribing, as I know we have a few subscribers now. So if you've recently joined us, then do look at some of the other movies, as they go back quite a few years now. And I hope you enjoyed this project, and I look forward to seeing you in the future and showing you more projects.